actually working. So it just shows you if you give them no warning, whatever. Now listen, I'm going to talk about court Jews in this incredible document before you up here. Thank you. You know who you are. The court Jew, a contribution to the history of the period of absolutism in Central Europe. This is what we need by Selma Stern. So this is by Jews talking about where these people came from, where Heinz Kissinger came from, where his philosophy came from, the nobles of Europe, the 13 families, the court Jews, Hufjuden, 500 years of infiltration. Now, YouTube. Intent is very important. My intent is not to kill all the Jews, though sometimes I feel like killing you all because I'm just so sick of the fucking hacking. When you allow YouTube, people like Adam Green to interview Nazis and get 120,000 subscribers before you decided to elite him, you have pushed and promoted every clown that you now claim is the enemy. You've pushed and promoted every single one of them. Blazarian, Andrew Tate, every half-wit. All we want is for people to get together, ordinary, working class or otherwise, hardworking people, hardworking entrepreneurs, Jews, non-Jews, Muslims, Christians, everybody get together and sit and decide that freedom is the most valuable thing we have. Because without freedom, you can't be a Wahhabist, you can't be a fucking Jew, you can't be a Christian, you can't be anything. It's the only thing. And what binds us together, what is our common thread? Our value system, freedom. And if you go to impinge on other consenting adults and impinge your view on them or your way of living, we come together to destroy that thing that destroys liberty. And that is what binds us. Do you have a problem with that, YouTube? You know me inside out. You're fucking DARPA. You're fucking the Pentagon. You are the private military intelligence group. You know everything about me. You're listening on me all the time. You're looking at my texts to the people closest to me. You know, it's an hour later. They still haven't got the text. And then I complain when they come to my door. Why aren't you answering your text? Your phone is off. It's not even getting to you. Next minute, ding, it comes up on their phone in front of me. You do things all day. Do I really want to kill all the Jews? Only when you really piss me off. You know everything about me, and what I am privately and publicly is exactly the same. So why is it you spend all day messing with my stuff? All day. All day. Wrecking the router, wrecking connections, wrecking the laptop, but you can only seem to do it in Windows. So I want to thank somebody. Send me. I'll even send my address. But if you want my address, you're going to have to send $2,000 worth of stuff. I want a freaking Apple, and it'll be a great experiment. Let's get me a little Apple Mini Pro, not the bottom one, the next one up, thanks, but not the high-end one either, waste of money. All right, and I'll use that for OBS, and we'll see if that can be hacked. Because on Samsung, everything works perfectly. On Windows, which is core-coded, it's absolute crap. So, but what's the problem, YouTube? When I said I can tell you what I really think with brother Nathaniel Kapner, I was going to pull the P out of both of them. It was just so I didn't have to think about you and whether any slight comment or tranny joke I make is going to get everything banned. That's why I thought I'll just put it up live, take it off and put it onto Patreon. But you decided that that live stream must not take place. I got it all prepared. I had everything lined up. I had everything was ready to go. And you fucking ruined it. But you have allowed every CUNT piece of garbage, you push Piers Morgan and all the clown Blazarians, you push them all. Have you heard of some of the comments that come out of Candace Owens' mouth over the years about Jews? I mean, you even pushed Donald Trump, for God's sake, who's now got a meme coin. I mean, the ethnic grift, the EG, the EGF, or the EFG, the ethnic foreign grift, never ends. He's got a meme coin. I just sat there, Voidzilla, CoffeeZilla guy in my feed. I woke up this morning after my rant last night where I was losing my mind. I just can't bear it anymore. I'm so sick of it. And it's you, YouTube. That's why I keep telling people, I don't want YouTube. I put them for free, the best videos, on my Patreon. Link to that. Oh no, could you just put them up on YouTube because grandma watches or whatever? And I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll just put the best up. And then I start thinking, oh, if things are starting to start, maybe I'll... And sure enough, some fucking moron on YouTube has decided, oh, I don't know who it is. I really don't know. Could be a bunch of Jews next door in the next house hacking into the router for all I know. But are you going to leave me alone, YouTube? I understand the rules. I actually do. I do understand the rules, kind of. And we can get along. We got Mary up there. When are we going to get some help from all you Jews, all you righteous Jews? Hey, righteous Jew, when are we going to get some help off you? Oh, well, I can't want to, Brendon. Oh, look, I'll send you $10 a month. Oh, you generous Jew, you. And, you know, after if I come out publicly, they'll ruin my business. They will ruin their business, meaning his fellow Jews. And then after synagogue, they'll all be down. I'll have 50 people screaming in my ear, and then it gets worse and worse after that, all the way to killing their own. Then they do. The law of Moserism, the law of the rat, the law of the informant. It's a fucking criminal outfit, and it should be treated as such. It should be just pure Old Testament Tanakh Jew. End of story. Judaism is a religion, not a foreign intelligence asset, which it is. So what's it going to be, YouTube? You pushed and promoted every half-wit, every bit of degenerate scum behavior you could ever possibly push, you have pushed. But I cannot sit here and have an adult conversation about hoof Jude and court Jews and the history of Jews in general. So we can have an adult intellectual conversation, get the best people. And I dreamt of Mel Gibson last night. It was a funny dream. I got to write it down. But yeah, because I was thinking about Mel Gibson, all his millions, and all he can do is get drunk, coke and hookers, his Russian Israeli hookers he uses, his bodyguard are Israeli Defense Force people. Think about it. And all he can do is get drunk, do coke, and scream about the Jews. And everyone thinks he's a hero. He's a fucking clown. He's a sex addict. He's a cocaine addict, and he's a moron. Where's the money, Mel? How about you get some money and get Jews together for a big conference on Orthodox Judaism? Get Michael Hoffman in, get the best. Let's talk about the unredacted Steinsaltz edition of the Babylonian Talmud, and we'll sit down and say, what are we going to do about all of these problems as adults, as intellectual adults, so we can all live in safety and security and receive the blessings, the fine, beautiful first fruits of freedom and liberty. Like adults. Well, you're not allowed. Anyone who has a good message is effed. And you just promote degenerate, filthy, disgusting scum. That's why this works today, because I never promoted it, never pushed it. And I've just jumped online this morning after re-imaging my laptop for the 400th time this week. Every time I re-image, it works instantly. It's hacked. Go online, hacked again. And it all started when I started saying, look what I bought, the book on the hoof Jude and the court Jews of Europe and Rothschild. This book. Let me get it for you. Let me get that book. Let me find what I'm doing here. Where are we? Let's find it. Court, C-O-U-R. There we are. This book. That book. I put my Amazon account up and I said, look what I'm buying. 2,500 pesos, which is 100 US dollars. Art, patronage, and power. And the next day, my Australian bank account was down. My Mexican bank account, they called me the same day. Oh, you have to come in, your signatures don't max. And my Amazon account is completely suspended and still not. And what I really miss is my Audible books, particularly the Robert Bayer one on the fourth man about it's Israeli infiltration, he won't say it, of the United States, post Robert Hansen and all the rest. Aldrich Ames. And they said there's still a high-level foreign intelligence asset in the CIA or the FBI to this day. What, one? Try 1,000. So why can't I, when I put that book up, you had a heart attack? Why is it when I mentioned hoof Jude and you deleted that video? Didn't give me a strike, just said, video's deleted, have a nice day. Why are you so afraid of hoof Jews, which then protects ordinary Jews, just as I am protected from the simple concept that I am not responsible for the Vatican drug dealing and carryings on and all the rest of the stuff. But I will speak out about it. We can discern the Vatican from ordinary Catholics, and we can discern Jewish power from ordinary Jews and the likes of a Rothschild, can't we? I would have thought this. Let's read it now. Thank you. You know who you are. Now, this particular person, I'm not going to give you any indication, because God forbid something happens, because she sends me good stuff. I think it's the cat diva from Tennessee in disguise. No, it's another one of the older generation who's been around and well-traveled, and she knows quality, and she always sends me quality stuff. And I appreciate Adam and the many others who title the email so I can find them easily, who title and put in the links with the title. This is interesting because I'm the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I need briefing notes, all right, from my colonels. I don't want to just the colonel rock up and say, hey, boss, you might find this interesting. Bye, and he walks out. Oh, what is it? Tell me what it's about. Give me the summary. So I appreciate those people who you take, because after all, we're all going to die after COVID. We should know the stakes are very high. The AI, the bots are coming. They're just orgasmic and ejaculating everywhere about AI and bots. And we've got manpower shortages at the Pentagon. Yeah, wonder why. So now we'll replace them with autonomous killing machines. And it's all coming and it's not stopping. Donald Trump now has I'm turning rapidly against the Trump administration. But as I said, we will know very quickly where it's heading. But the ethnic foreign grifters are at it again. And we'll talk about that in a sec, where I'm just thinking, for God's sake, so they've got to stop this. This is absurd. But yeah, it's drug money laundering. By the way, if you didn't know, they've got a meme coin. They've got a meme coin, and they're pushing it. And it's so ludicrous, it's beyond belief. But it's drug money laundering. Don't worry about it. But it's fast getting to the point where you're going to have to, it'd be better if Kamala Harris had won, because it would have made you so uncomfortable you might have actually done something productive. See, their aim is to just make it take you right to the edge and then back off. Take you right to the edge and then back off. And they're just going to keep this up. The old Fabian show, right, left, marching off the cliff. Let's read this about the court Jews. Is this all right for you? YouTube, you don't mind? Is this okay? Can we have an intellectual discussion about this? Any chance we can have an intellectual discussion? The Court Jew, a contribution to the history of the period of absolutism in Central Europe. Don't be put off by this, by Selma Stern. Now, these are the old books. This is from Kansas. I love it. This is 1950. These are the old days where even Jews spoke the truth. All right, where we had some of our best people coming up through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. We had all our golden years of stuff. Jews were speaking. It was a golden time before the modern age of contrived horsepucky. So let's go here, and it's got a beautiful index. Trust the Jews. They always do good indexes. Being Jewish is a very Virgo thing. Attention to detail, constant state of anxiety and panic, willingness, wish to make systems that create, say, a feeling of safety and security. Isn't that right, Jews? Right, introduction. Here's the introduction to the book. Here we go. The period of absolutism, the new concept of the state. This is where it all began, ladies and gentlemen. Whitney ain't going to tell you. The idea of Statraison, whatever that is, something to do with the state, the change in the form of the state. This is Kissinger, baby. I just want to remind you, the core Jews don't really care about synagogue. It's whatever. All right, they're all Jungians, mate. They're all channeling. They're all doing active imagination. What was Jung's main thing, which was the great danger we face is not ecological catastrophe, it's psychic epidemics, meaning the collective. He saw the Nuremberg rallies and went, hey, man, they're getting manipulated. And that's when he spoke out against Hitler. And he was a friend of Goering's brother. That's Carl Gustav Jung. You're going to hear more and more about Jung as the time goes on. I've been reading him since 1992. Very interesting year, isn't it? Chabad, 1992. Rabbi, I was chosen. Let's go back to this. The change in European economy, mercantilism, the change in the conception of the Jew, the change in his legal, political, and economic position. The Jew as a political problem, Germany after the 30 Years' War, the German princes and their attitude towards the Jew. The German merchant, the alliance between the princes and the Jewish entrepreneurs. All right, this is very important. This is Heinz Kissinger's friends. The rise of the court Jew, his functions. The court Jew as an indispensable innovation of absolutism. Sorry, sounds like a Noam Chomsky book. We'll get there. Shlomo Sand. What are you talking about? Don't know. But yes, the invention of the Jewish people. I'd love, look, I can't wait to talk to you about those things when my stuff works. I can't wait to tell you about the only case where judges were going to rule that Jews were not an ethnicity or a race. But I said, no, leave it. Don't say they are inadmissible opinion evidence. No, let's go to trial. I could tell you all about that, but no one wants to talk about it. Michael Hoffman doesn't want to speak to me. No one wants to know my name. The period of Louis XIV, the European wars, Emperor Leopold of Austria, the tasks of his administration, the Austrian state, the War of the Devolutions, Samuel Oppenheimer's appointment as war commissary, his activity in the War of the Empire against France, disillusionment, his contribution in the war against the Turks and in the War of the Palatine succession, difficulties, the attitude of the emperor, the generals, the officials. Oh, I'm loving this. Oppenheimer's indispensability, yeah, and the later Oppenheimer too. His credit, Cardinal Kolchnitz's attempts to overthrow him, his contribution to the War of the Spanish Succession, the reasons for its success, his personality, his business system, contractors and agents. Ooh, Whitney, we should look at that. Oppenheimer's death, the catastrophe at the Austrian Strait, Oppenheimer's successors, the war commissaries of the German princes, Israel Aron and Elias Grumparts in Prussia, Abraham Mendel and Anschel Levi in Bavaria, Jude Suess in Württemberg. And none of these people died in the camps, no, neither did their kids. The hazardous position of the contractors. The hazardous position of the contractors, indeed. The importance of the Jewish war commissaries. Chapter 2, the court contractor. Oh, I love this. This language is brilliant. The court contractor. The German princes at the end of the 30 Years' War. The court as the political and cultural center of the country. Believe me, nothing's changed in DC or Russia or Moscow or London. Same deal. Oligarchy. What? Biden's warning about oligarchy? Well, like only for the last, 500 years, Biden. Thanks for the tip. The tolerance of some of the rulers, the craving for luxuries, the international connections of the autonomy, their efforts to improve the political, economic, and social position of the Jews. Eisenmenger and Samson Wertheimer, Manuel Textria, and the expulsion of the Jews from Vienna. Wolf Wertheimer and the expulsion of the Jews from Prague. Chapter 8. Community founder and patron. The rise of the new city communities, like a smart city. The founding of the Dresden community by Bernd Lehmann, the Kassel community and Abraham David, the importance of the Liefman brands for Hanover, Michael David and Hanover. Isn't that right, Heinz Kissinger? The new communities of Schwerin, Munich, Bremen, Stuttgart and the Lutzburg, the Austrian court Jews and the Viennese community, Harlan Mendel. What's the Jesuits? It's the Jesuits. No, it's the court Jews. The founding of the Königsberg and Breslau community, the patrons, synagogues and Talmudic academies, subvention to the scholars, the new edition of the Talmud and Bernd Lehmann, the press of Moses Benjamin Wolf. How interesting. The personality of the court Jew. Ooh, I can't wait to read that one. The patrician group, their way of life, houses, luxury and magnificence. Oh, like the beautiful Rothschild in Paris. Religious and family celebrations, duality of their existence, the period of enlightenment and the Jewish problem, the period of the Baroque and the Jewish question, Suiss's character, the religious sentiment of the court Jews, the impossibility of a synthesis between Judaism and the spirit of the time. Wow, how interesting. Coming at Michael Hoffman. The spiritual and moral world of the court Jews, Talmud and Kabbalah, tensions and contradictions. Someone send this on to Michael Hoffman, please. I'm going to post this. Tithe, the vicissitudes of fortune, the fate of the Austrian court Jews, the fall of Heinrichsen, Beard and Kahn, the trial of Moses Benjamin Wolf, the imprisonment and torture of Lefman Brand's grandsons, the tragic fate of Bernd Lehmann and his family, the end of the Reuben Elias Grumparts, the fall of Elkan Frankel, the execution of Jude Suess, Mr. Suess, the court Jews as a symbol of the economic revolution. The court Jew as the symbol of the economic revolution. How interesting. Now, the preface is interesting. The whole thing looks interesting. Let's go here. When many years ago, the writer of this book first began to interest herself in the problem of the court Jew, she was still convinced that Jewish history gave evidence of a steady course of progress. Though she was acquainted with the seesaw nature of human history, periods of enlightenment being followed by periods of political conservatism and religious intolerance, and though she was aware of the dark, irrational elements in human nature, ever in revolt against spirit and civilization. I have to comment on that. See that bit there? It's like suddenly human nature pops up and we want to kill all the Jews. No, there was always a reason. See, it's always a mystery, and it's like the weather, a weather pattern, a bad year of rain or something. No. When people find out that you are trying to F them, all right, and then the own religious leaders, the rabbis, are then deliberately stirring up sentiment because ordinary Jews were fading away, converting, had enough of the rabbis, had enough being raped by their brother and their father, and said, I want out of this inbred, disgusting, shettled, insular community. I don't want to just be normal. I want to be emancipated. I want to be free. Out would come the rabbis, do a deal with the king, and they'd start dressing as non-Jews and start pelting rocks at ordinary Jews, particularly if they were heading to the church for a conversion. That's what they said. Give us control of our communities and we'll, be at your disposal. Remember, millions of Jews have converted. Sharing in two differing cultural heritage, the Jewish and German, she did not feel the tension of such a relationship as a perplexing inner conflict and contrast. This dual heritage served rather to enrich her being and to broaden her Lebenswelt. She was therefore in a position to study from a positive historical standpoint the chief problems that interest her, namely the emancipation of the Jews. Now, that's a very interesting thing. The emancipation of the Jews from what? From oppression? Well, stop being Jewish. I mean, you could follow the Tanakh, where even the alien among you is equal before you in the law. And, Proverbs, very beautiful, Psalms of David, all that good stuff. All right, there's some horrible stuff in there, but it had a context. It's the first half of the Christian Bible. That's how we got from there to here, with love as the fulfillment of the law. Just study the Tanakh. I'll come and we'll do Seder and Passover together. Not a problem. I like Seder and Passover. I really like it because it says, I'm not being judged by the state. I belong to God, not you. I don't belong to you. I belong to God. Passover. Might be having one very soon with the new COVID. That is the process of their becoming an integral part of the political, economic, and social life of the state, and the assimilation of the Jews. That is the process of their self-adaptation to the culture and spirit of their surroundings. Yeah, well, that's a normal state for a human being, as I am becoming more Mexican every day. Never thought it would happen, but I actually am. Waving my hands around more than ever. Just haven't started arguing about the soccer yet. She was particularly intrigued by the history of the court Jews because of their colorful and adventurous careers. Well, that's a nice way of putting it. Her imagination was excited by the story of their sudden rise to power. I love that. Whenever you hear sudden rise to power, rose to power, oh, take an interest. Her human and psychological interest was aroused by the peculiar character of these strong-willed men who, through their intelligence and energy, through their money and importance, well, how hard can it be when I'm intelligent, I have lots of money, and I'm important? I don't think it would be too hard 500, 300, 200 years ago. Through chance and good fortune, were able to rise above their co-religionists. In other words, dominate the goy. She was even more concerned with the problem of the economic. See, this is what I mean. Listen to the way that has been described. Well, it's just this rise, cunning, subversion, chaos, bribery, blackmail. Come on, let's stop this horseshit. Let's fix this problem. We can all live in peace and have a coffee down at Gaza and go and walk in the ocean. We can all do it, Jews included, and pretend Russian Jews. Economic and social progress of these men, whose progress was closely connected with the development of the German states away from their medieval patrimonial character and towards fully developed legal and economic structures. Thus, many Jewish financiers whose interests coincided with those of the princes and their states were among the most prominent advisors to the princes and helped prepare the way for the new state over the opposition of the patriarch and the nobility. The other aspects of this process of assimilation, well, you haven't assimilated. You're just buying Bibles and going to church while still maintaining a sense of chauvinism and racial and religious supremacism. That's the point. You haven't assimilated. The other aspect of this process of assimilation was the reaction of Christian society to the entrance of the Jews into its ranks. That is, the attitude of the various classes, corporations, and organizations to a group which until that time had not been admitted into their circle. No, because you are religious lunatics who believe you are better than everyone else. You cannot address anti-Semitism or anti-Jewish sentiment if you don't address the chauvinism, racial and religious supremacism within Jews. Fix that, the problem ends. There's no mystery. The other aspect of this process of assimilation was the reaction of Christian society to the entrance of the Jews into its ranks. That is, the attitude of the various classes, corporations, and organizations to a group which until that time had not been admitted to their circle. And in defense of the Jews, just remember, they were banned from everything except money lending. Couldn't own property, couldn't do that, so they money lended. And they became crooks and criminals, smugglers, up to all sorts of organized crime. Well, they were actually forced into that. When you think about it, if you don't give an option for someone to enter into society, that's what happens. And they all fled to Mexico, Central and South America. But the writer felt that the problem of the court Jews merited attention not only in its political and social aspects, they were, for her, a typical and symbolic phenomenon of general Jewish historical development. By understanding their fate, one could at the same time understand the fate of the European Jew who attempted to create a synthesis of two different worlds without surrendering his identity. What? Of being a racial supremacist chosen by God and the Goya beneath you, I'm sorry. One could watch his efforts to become integrated into the economic and believe me, millions of Jews did fully integrate and just got on with their lives as individuals, not as some ridiculous collective. I'm a special Jew with special DNA, specially chosen by God. That's mental illness. One could watch his efforts to become integrated into the economic and civil life of the people of which he had become a part. The court Jews appeared to her to be the forerunners, was it Freemasons? Forerunners of emancipation and their history to represent the early period of this movement. What garbage. The world in which we live has changed in the meantime. And with this change, our historical wit built, our view of how the world has come into being, how we got from here to there, has also changed. The sudden transformation, what's that silly cow, Catherine Austin Fitz? She's still saying Mr. Globalist. It's just getting ridiculous. The sudden transformation of all our conditions of life has been given us a new perspective and enables us to understand more clearly than formerly not only the interconnection between the changing form of a state and its changing economy and society, but also the close connection between Jewish fate and such historical developments. We have realized how the changing of a democracy into dictatorship, a free economy into a planned economy, a humanitarian and liberal conception of the world into a medieval caricature, well, you've been helping it along, can drastically affect the position of the Jews. Because, it's just an act of nature. Poor Jews. No, it's not your behavior, is it, Jews, as a collective? This new experience and awareness has made us revise our old historical standpoint so that we no longer look upon emancipation as the end of a long process, which led to a kind of symbiosis between two national groups. See, two national groups. You're not a national group. Stop. You are not an ethnicity. You are not a race. You are not a national group. Stop your horse shit. The reason you have DNA markers is because of all the inbreeding and raping of daughters by fathers and brothers. Stop it. Even if we remain cognizant of the far-reaching results of this process by which ghetto Jews became European Jews and the noble families of Europe, we tend to look upon the era of emancipation as only one of the many decisive periods of Jewish history. Since we no longer see any principle of gradual progressive development in the course of history, we begin to believe that the very basis of historical life is continuous change, that everything is in flux, that everything dies in order that it may be reborn. It reminds me of, Bannon complaining about Kissinger and about, this empire rises and then now it's time for the Soviet Union or China and this empire rises. No. People make decisions and they conspire to take over and dominate others. Very simple. And it will not end with the Jews, all right? It will continue to go on. We have to immunize the popular culture. We have to immunize the political class. We have to immunize whole peoples, whole communities against this stuff. They need real history and they need to understand psychological warfare and manipulation. This dying and rebirth is more, that's why God invented the United States and its amazing divinely inspired constitution. This dying and rebirth is more marked in some epochs than in others, usually in periods of revolution and radical political, social and economic change. Such periods have not only transformed the life of nations, but also deeply influenced the fate of the Jews. Examples of such periods are the era of the German Reformation and of the English, American and French revolutions. Oh, how interesting. The period of absolutism was also a time of, we are in a period of absolutism, was also a time of radical change. It marked a transition from feudalism to absolutism, from imperium to national state, from medieval economy to a money and credit economy, from medieval economy to a money and credit economy, from traditionalism to early capitalism, from scholastic theories and canonical law to natural law, from a cooperative society to one composed of autonomous individuals. Yeah, right. That's all being reversed as we speak. We attempt in this study to investigate the effects of changing historical relationships on the Jews because we believe that this will make it possible for us to better understand the institution of the court Jew, who was a product of that period of transition and transformation. And that's how we got from there to here, people. Only that particular historical conjunction, namely the period of court absolutism, end of mercantilism, or early capitalism, a period in which people, the East India Trading Company, people had lost faith in old institutions and had not yet developed a new way of life and a new conception of things. Does this sound familiar? Could have given rise to a phenomenon like the court Jew, who combined in himself certain traits, characteristics of the medieval ages with other characteristics of modern times. The Jew of the 19th, what we're talking about here is what? Blackmail, bribery, organized crime, drugs, alcohol, organ slave trade, meth production facilities, sex slave trade, drug money. That's what you bought. Thanks very much. The Jew of the 19th century represented a mature and well-developed type. The process of emancipation and assimilation has gone as far as they could under the circumstances. What circumstances? What? You hit a wall? And the Jew had absorbed the spiritual and cultural values of the world around him. Okay. So the Jew was so different. So Christian Europe had changed the Jew. Okay. He had absorbed this new culture. Oh, okay. New to him. Why would it be new to him? Tanakh, Old Testament? Why is it a mystery to him? Where have you come from that you are now absorbing Christian Europe? And if you are absorbing Christian Europe, becoming the new man, the new scientific man, okay, could you tell me what you were before? Simple questions. The Jew of the Baroque period had a more difficult task and a harder destiny. No one led him, no school or university guided him. There was no mighty spiritual movement such as existed at the time of Mosel Mendelssohn to carry him along. The doors of education and culture were still closed to him. He was plunged without any preparation or period of transition into a completely different culture that was fundamentally stranger to him than the culture of the period of Enlightenment or of the 19th century was to his descendants. Man, he's like an alien or something. While he still was not in a position to absorb all the spiritual values of his century and to work out a synthesis between them and the values of the ghetto, he was on the value. What are the values? What are the values of the ghetto? The law of Moserisms? The law of the informant? What are the values of the ghetto? Love to know. He was, on the other hand, able to devote all his energies to economic activity and to make a full contribution in this sphere. In other words, make himself useful to power, a servant of power, when he then took it over. In this way, the Jew created for himself the material basis on which the struggle for political, social, and spiritual emancipation would be waged. Well, you could just stop being a Jew. Sorry. Stop being a Talmudic, racist, lunatic Jew. And the thing was, millions of them did. Now they're Buddhists, Catholics, Protestants, and they're just normal people, and you'd never know. As Professor Shlomo Sand said in his book, The Invention of the Jewish People, it was an evangelizing religion, and people came and went continuously. There was no homogenous group. They came out of Egypt as a mixed multitude, blacks, fairer-skinned, brown-skinned. Some of the oldest Jews are in Ethiopia, for crying out loud, as are some of the oldest Christians, we might add. Ever been to an Ethiopian Orthodox service? I suggest you go. The women are all in white with these white parasols, quite beautiful. In this way, the Jew created for himself the material basis, oh yes, the material basis, on which the struggle for political, social, and spiritual emancipation would be waged. And they're still struggling. Isn't that right, Donald Trump and your effing meme coin? Jeez. The ethnic foreign grift. It has been said that social and economic revolutions preceded intellectual ones, that the material situation of a society must be changed before men are ready for a spiritual revolution under psychological warfare. This was the very task the court Jews accomplished by transforming the economic situation of the Jews, getting rich, powerful, and infiltrating the court. That's my addition. They shattered the social foundations. Or let's get the words. They shattered the social foundations of the ghetto. Can you tell me what the foundations were before that? And made their co-religionists of the following generations receptive to the new ideas of the time. What, being normal? If there had been no Moses Benjamin Wolf, court Jew in Dachau, there would have been no Moses Mendelssohn. If there had been no Jusper von Gelden, court factor in the Palatinate, I don't know what that means, there would have been no Heinrich Heine, and maybe Heinz Kissinger, how about that? And Amitai Etzioni, Werner Falk. If there had been no Baruch Simon, court Jew in Cologne, there would have been no Ludwig Böhm. Ephraim and Itzik, the Berlin mint masters, prepared the way for the Jewish Enlightenment in the 18th century. Oppenheimer, Wertheimer, Eskes, and de Agler, court purveyors in Austria, made the famous Viennese salons possible, you know, where Adolf Hitler hung out. Remember the artist hanging out with all these people? Remember that guy? Each generation sees its nation's past in a different light. Excuse me while I take a slurp of my drugs. Yes, coffee. Con leche almendra. Light for the historical concepts and personal experiences of each generation are different. Our generation was destined to review, revise, and reinterpret our past once again, not only because we have uncovered new historical sources which have enriched our knowledge, or because we could use better methods of historical and psychological research than previous generations, but because we have gone through experiences which no Jew in the last 200 years had known. What do you mean? What experiences? I'd love to know. Maybe they explain it. This experience should not make us in a kind of escapism. Please get this book to Michael Hoffman if he doesn't already commented on it. Romanticize the past and become sentimental about the good old days. On the contrary, the tragedy and explorableness of our present experience should lead us to view our past more objectively than before, so that we may understand those forces of our history which once formed and eventually transformed us. We shall then perhaps recognize which of these forces have still remained alive in us and have continued until this very day to exist in us as invigorating and creative elements. An awareness of these forces cannot change our destiny, but an attempt to understand our road through the centuries can make our destiny easier to bear. Oh, you poor babies, pobre Jews, poor Jews. A wise man once said, what one can understand, one can endure. Oh, it's beautiful. Look, I understand Jews. You know when I really understood Jews as a collective? That's when I went to jail. Now I had to survive. I had to know who the lunatics were. Okay, who's the alpha male? Who's the alpha but who's normal? I'm going to become friends with that person. I'm going to become friends. I understood Jews. I understood their anxiety. I understood their they're always looking for the way out, for the back door. And that's how I've been living. Now imagine living that for generations. You become fucking mentally ill. Everyone's out to get you because for no apparent reason, you know, and you say, and imagine from growing out of the generation becomes a plan to take things over. Generation after generation, how to lie, cheat, steal, and suck up the power. And what are we watching today with the Trump administration? Where one can understand, he can endure. That's very true. That's my problem. I just don't understand why the people who wrecked my computer are like, what are you even doing? It's never worked, and all you've done is piss me off. But if I understood, oh, that's the program. But maybe that's why they do it to me, because they know how pissed off I get. We're nearly finished. This work is based principally on studies made during the years 1920 to 1938, very interesting years, in the archives of almost everyone of the German Staats- and Staatshafen in Augsburg, Berlin, Breslau, Danzig, Darmstadt, Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, and the Main and Frankfurt on the Oder, Hasselbad, Heidelberg, Königsberg, Koblenz, Königsberg, blah, 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 all the cities of Germany. Deutschland, very important. With a deep sense of loss, I wish to pay tribute. Let's read this through because there might be important info here. I wish to pay tribute here to the memory of Dr. Otto Hirsch, one of the noblest martyrs of German Jewry. He made untiring efforts, even though he was continuously persecuted and often in jail, not only to preserve the life of the German Jews, but their cultural and spiritual heritage as well. Well, if you want to preserve it, why don't you ask where Hitler got his money from? With an almost prophetic insight into the future, he asked me as far back as in the spring of 1935 to collect all the Prussian state archives, as many Jewish documents as possible. Oh, I love documents. In order that the generations to come may remain aware of the thoughts, the deeds, and the fate of their ancestors. Very important. You've got to have a collective memory. Keep the memory alive. At this suggestion, Dr. Leo Bach, then the president of the Reichsberger der Juden in Deutschland, carried this idea into effect despite the restrictions of the Nazi government imposed on Jewish research. I owe it to the heroism and idealism of those two great men and to the unselfish assistance and courage of Dr. Jacob Jacobson, then the director of the blah, 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 that I could fulfill my task in that most critical period. First and foremost, this book belongs to my husband, Eugene Tobler, who more than any other academic teacher has profoundly influenced my historical concepts and methods and guided me through the many stages of research and writing ever since the time he founded the Fortune Institute of the Academy für die Wissenschaft. Sorry, German friends, I'm sorry, I'm destroying your language. No, I'm raising it to a new Australian Mexican cultural level. In Berlin, they must be crying right now, German speakers. Without his constructive counsel, his wise comments, his countless criticisms, his inspiration and collaboration, this volume would not have been written in its present form. I wish to take the opportunity of expressing my great obligation to Dr. Jacob R. Marcus, at whose suggestion his monograph was undertaken. Though I had planned for a long time to utilize the material, I was happy to have saved some certain destruction. The tragic fate of German Jewry was so stunning as to inhibit me from stirring up the memories of the past. Dr. Marcus' interest in my work, and especially in the history of the German Jews, encouraged me at last to continue my studies. His kindness and aid, blah, 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 blah. All right, I think we can wind this up. Yeah, translating and proofreading. Wow, how interesting. The court Jew. All right, I'm going to get into that and read it. And I think I can search the index. Let's do a little summary. Oh, look, we're still here. What are you people doing up this early? Or are you overseas? We'll talk, yes, it is real live, LA Methwich. Let's look something up. I just want to show you something. So if you've listened to that, it's very important to understand the past. We understand who they are, understand who you know who Klaus Schwab is, right? You know Heinz Kissinger, the court Jews of Europe. They're all sophisticated, hanging with royalty. They are royalty. Let's look up. See, where is it? Come on now. Okay, this book. No. All right, sorry, I got to find something. That's why I like my laptop. It's all here. This book, let's get it up. All right. So we've talked about courtiers. All right, now you got to understand something. The significance of Scotland, right? You know what I'm about to talk about, friends. We're going to talk about when Scotland was Jewish. Here in the same Jewish academic spirit, which really is, a lot of it's German. German Jews were the epitome of study and pedanticness and detail. That's why Germany was such a threat to France and England. When Scotland was Jewish, all right, the popular image of Scotland is dominated by widely recognized elements of Celtic culture, but a significant non-Celtic influence on Scotland's history has perhaps been largely ignored for centuries. This book argues that much of Scotland's history, not a little bit, it says much of Scotland's history and culture from 1100 forward is Jewish. The authors provide evidence that many of the national heroes, villains, rulers, nobles, traders, merchants, bishops, guild members, burgess, and ministers of Scotland were of Jewish descent, their ancestors originating in France and Spain. Yeah, they're all over here. Much of the traditional historical account of Scotland, it is supposed, rests on fundamental interpretive errors, blah, 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 blah. Now, when we can take these very scholarly and academic stuff and hopefully, I don't know, get an intellectual engaged discussion about where the future is going, about how we relate to each other, instead of that, we can ask questions about Rudolf Hess, Hitler's right hand, one of his greatest lovers, one of his greatest groupies, but I must admit, an accomplished pilot. Make no mistake, I may pull the P. Even Hitler was a very brave soldier. I don't like the and an accomplished artist. I hate the way they denigrate and mock Hitler. That was garbage. He was a very brave soldier and very smart and went through a lot of pain and suffering himself. All right, he was a human being, but they don't want you to humanize Hitler, because if we humanize Hitler, we can start asking serious questions about the Second World War. You're not meant to ask questions. You're just meant to go, Hitler was a maniac. He just woke up in the morning, wanted to go to war with everyone. And he rose to power. I love that word. Hitler rose to power like a helium balloon. Whee, look, I'm rising to power, everyone. How do we do it? I want to rise to power too. I want to fly around in a private jet, just like Hitler used to do. In his Fokker triplane, if trimotor. Please, somebody tell me how you rise to power. I don't know. Maybe I can make 25 million a year. It's the same bullshit. So Rudolf Hess jumps in a Messerschmitt 110 twin-engine aircraft at night, navigates at night, almost over, was it the Duke of Kent he was meaning to see? Who was it? Over Scotland, bails out and wants to speak to a particular Scottish gentleman. The Scotland was Jewish. Scottish Rite Masonry, all that stuff. Have you worked it out yet? If we understand where this all came from, all right, being Jewish is as Father Alexis Rosenthal would say, Brendon, being Jewish is a state of mind, nothing more. You can drop it whenever you like. It's that simple. But they all want to say, once a Jew, always a Jew. All right, that's how you keep people in the cult, in the gang. Get your tattoos. This is the identification process of keeping a community together so you can run an organized crime ring. That's all it is. Be an Old Testament Tanakh Jew. Join the Karaites. The Karaites are true Old Testament Jews persecuted by the rabbis for centuries. It is the religious duty of every Jew to interpret the Tanakh or Old Testament according to conscience. Think for yourself. Fancy that. Okay, we'll talk more about that. When Scotland was Jewish. Can you see how that ties in with that? And I don't know, does this tie in with this? The former president of Iran, Rouhani, receives his PhD in Sharia law from a Scottish university whilst hanging out with Jack Straw and Lord Levi, one step away from Lord Jacob Rothschild himself. You would think that would be front page news all over the fucking internet. You can't find a single repeat of it. Do you not find that interesting? That the president of Iran, before he became president, was groomed over there in Scotland for 6 years, where, of course, if you want to study Sharia law, of course you go to Scotland to study it. Of course you do. That's where he got his PhD. And he's hanging with Jack Straw and Lord Levi. Do you not find that interesting at all? Someone tell Whitney Webb, please. There's Jack Straw that's friends with Lord Jacob himself. Look at him. Hey, old friends. Yay. Someone do an analysis. Whitney. Oh, you can't because Mint Press News doesn't want you to. Just like Richard Silverstein went to expose all the pretend Russian Jews and Russian SVU KGB assets in Israel, and your little friends at Iran Press TV wouldn't publish it. There he is. There's Lord Levi. Look at them all. Happy, happy, happy. There's the court Jews. Everybody is a court Jew. Sorry, it's everybody's wearing blue jeans. Who remembers that song? Now, this is the key to understanding. And I'm going to leave this up on YouTube. They can fucking delete. I'll just delete my YouTube account. You can get the videos off my Patreon. Because all we want is an intelligent conversation between academics from all walks of life to say, how are we going to sit and live in peace? Bible prophecy unfolds, Mahdi army comes, the Dajjal, Satan, Antichrist, or the AI in Israel where they want to put it, which is the Antichrist, artificial intelligence. You heard it first from me, from a maximum security prison. That comes, fine. But we work to peace. And we as adults stop being manipulated. Like, once a Jew, always a Jew. Well, you can be Jewish, but you better be doing Seder Passover at least, getting your foreskin lopped off. No, you need to stop that now. That's unnecessary. But, you know, it's amazing. If you do it to a woman, a clitoris, it's disgusting. And the patriarchy and men are abusing women. But when little boys, their mothers tell the surgeon to cut his foreskin off, oh, that's fine. I mean, it's disgusting that it's even going on to this day. Yeah, use some soap and water, boys. Pretty simple. We can't even ask these simple questions. Rouhani, Zarif, 20 years in England. Do you know the new guy that's going to replace Xi? I watched a very interesting video. You know where he trained, got his PhD in ecology. It was something to do with ecological or the environment. Something to do with the environment. His PhD in that. Oh, how interesting. Maybe Greta was his co-PhD overseer. But you know where he trained? The Imperial, what's the Imperial University? What was it? It's not Oxford. It's one of those big universities was not Scotland, is it? That's the new up and comer to replace G. I'll do a video on it. Could you imagine that? You see how it all ties into the London British Israelism, all these elitists and their blonde hair and blue eyes who claim to be the descendants of King David, you know, doing coke and hookers, shooting up intravenous drugs from the finest quality from their pharmaceutical suppliers, sex orgies, eyes wide shut stuff, and then killing prostitutes down the back of their estates in Belgium and other places. Or, you know, the court Jews of Europe, all the Portuguese, Spanish Jews who are up there in Denmark, in Amsterdam, the port of Amsterdam, doing all the slave trade, all the trade. It's to the States where all the ecstasy comes from, a lot of meth as well, run down through. Hello? Hello? Did you ever consider the Dimona nuclear reactor is actually a meth lab? And you think I'm joking? I'm not even joking. I honestly believe it. They have never made their own nuclear weapons. Never. It's all a lie. They've been handed to them, and it's debatable whether they have them at all. It's really debatable. Again, I got to do a video. There's ways that you build a nuclear weapon, and you cannot do it any other way. And it's not just about enriching plutonium and uranium. Yeah, Mordecai Vanunu, there's a few problems with Mordecai Vanunu. But anyway, it's a bit like Chris Boleyn. It's suspicious, but then, you know, and Mordecai said, Israel's such a racist country, brown-skinned people to look down upon. Fancy that. You know, as Jack Bernstein told us in The Life of a American Jew and Racist Marxist Israel. It's the most racist country to its own. That's why it needs war to keep everyone together. It'll fall apart in 5 minutes. But you start to understand that to have a nuclear weapon, you've got to test it. You can't get away. You have to test. You can't not test. It is impossible to test. You can't do it. You have to test the nuclear weapon. So I ask you, where did Israel test its nuclear weapons? Well, there was one story they cooperated with South Africa and they tested off the coast, and there was an anomaly in the seismic off the coast of South Africa in the water. I don't believe that story. I don't believe it happened. The other way some suggest is France did it, Mururoa Atoll in the 80s. I remember I was 1985, and Australia was big against the stopping of nuclear testing at Mururoa Atoll by the French. Was that them testing nuclear weapons for Israel? I don't know. Why don't we ask that question? Maybe Whitney will ask it, as long as it doesn't involve exposing Putin and Xi. But this is where it all heads. This is why you can understand this now. This is why you can understand Hezbollah and Hamas as creations of the West, what we loosely call the West, once you understand this. All right, Greater Israel here. You've always got to have a dialectic. Greater Israel there and the Persian Empire here. And you would put a dotted line around all of this as well, the stands. You would put a dotted line around there. I own everybody. You always put in the dialectic with your actor. The only real revolutionary in Iran, I assure you, is Ahmadinejad. That's it. He's the only real deal there. No one else exists. That's the only person I wanted to talk to. I didn't realize how horrible the Iranian politics were. When I said, "Oh, could I meet former President Mohammad Ahmadinejad?" and they went, yeah. He receives visitors. Yeah. And I mean, you do not want me meeting Mohammad Ahmadinejad. No way. And that's that same lawyer who said, "You're not progressive. You're not progressive." Did you know I didn't even know what progressive actually meant? I'd heard it, but I'd never looked it up. There's a big word in America. We don't have that term in the US. Anyway, isn't that interesting? So there we go, the court Jew. And you can look it up on thingy, but you know, it gets deleted when I mention it. All right, let's now go to, what do we got here? Let's talk to the thingy here. What do we got here? Your thoughts on what's happening with Pakistan and Imran Khan? Oh, I can tell you what's been happening is that Imran, and I don't blame Imran, he wants Pakistan to progress and not be a backwater filled with raving lunatics, with Saudis, i.e. Saudis, Israel, i.e. City of London, MI6 funding and coddling all the madrasas there to create lunatics, to create the Islamic terror threat so they can justify locking down the rest of the world, whichever threat, alien threat, monkey threat, whatever threat they got this week. And of course, he wants to modernize Pakistan and involve it in the Belt and Road. The trouble is, he was married to who? Jemima Goldsmith, who's the daughter of Jimmy Goldsmith, who's best friend with Lord Jacob Rothschild. Again, not going to hear it from anyone else. You'll never hear it anywhere else. That's the problem. I'm not bragging. I'm saying in the old days, we all talked and communicated and fleshed out the truth, Jews included. We all used to get together. We used to call each other names, but it was a whole different world to what it is now. Money, whoredom, psychological warfare operations. And of course, he's been shafted. And well, that's what happens when you line up with Russia and Rothschild. He's not lining up with sovereign China and sovereign Russia or sovereign Germany. He's lining up with the Rothschild City of London network. Now, Imran Khan, I've known him since a kid, or known of him since I was a child. He's a huge, if you don't know, pack of cricket, is big in England and Barbados and Australia and Pakistan and India and, all the Clive James and Viv Richards and the old drunk Steve Warren and what's his name, Ian Botham, who remembers? Lily. Wow, 40,000 people would pack it out for 5 days. Now you're lucky to get 100 people there. Those were exciting days where the sport was real and they weren't paid $10 million each. And there was Imran Khan, who all the ladies loved and adored, of course, including my mother. And I believe he's a sincere person, but, he's lining up with the wrong people, unfortunately. And Pakistan, I guess, will continue to be a backwater for some time to come. I can't tell you where it's going to lead eventually, but the only hope is that America takes on its destiny and does what it needs to do, which is to free everybody into a system of popular culture and education where we raise the vibration of human beings, not dumb them down to dumb animals, and we all get along whilst retaining our culture. At the moment, we have a bunch of half-wits in the White House who are trying to promote a meme coin right now. I couldn't believe it. Are you kidding me? The grift never ends. As Seva Plokka said in Ynet News in 2008, if we choose, don't stop making ripping off the goy, almost quoting, ripping off the goy a national sport, there's going to be trouble. You need to stop ripping off the goy and laundering your drug money. Could you please stop, you EFGs, ethnic foreign grifters, please? By your own standards. I don't believe you are, but I'll call you what you want to be called. Just stop now, okay? That's my view on Imran Khan. Again, the link, Jemima Goldsmith, Jimmy Goldsmith, half-sister to Lady Di. Lady Di is over there in Pakistan. Well, who do you think killed her? Do you think the British royals killed her? Or do you think Lady Di, holding a Palestinian child, calling for an end to the arms trade with Israel, might have been a problem coming? Who had the greatest wish to kill Lady Di in her stupid naivety? She was very manipulative herself. She wasn't entirely innocent. And she may have been pregnant, and the rumor was that's why they took her to the side of the road in the ambulance to perform an abortion. Wouldn't surprise me. But did you ever consider, did it ever occur to you that she might have been in her naivety stupidly plotting to be Lady Di and hold a small Palestinian child and speak out against Zionism? Dong! I'd say that would guarantee you a trip to the morgue. But anyway, what do I know? I don't know. No, it never went through. The video never went through. It was only a minute. They disabled comments. They did the same to Outdoor Boys. Oh yeah, I really love him. He's a good guy. Patrick Berry, what do they say about Shlomo Sand? I don't know who's saying what. McCarthy was right. You bet he was. Alan Watt, the Prison Planet interview. Oh shit, where's that? Send me a link to my email. I've got to grab that. Just watch some of that Alan Watt video that I mentioned above compared to today's endless nonsense. Yeah, I know. See, if you're older and you came up through late 90s into the 2000s and cut your teeth through those years, even Alex Jones was usable. He'd talk about Zionism from time to time, but I liked Alex Jones at the time because it wasn't all Jews, Jews, Jews. He'd talk about Agenda 2030. He'd talk about Agenda 2021. He would talk about the white paper documents, the UN documents. Where did I learn about compact smart cities? Alex Jones. Where did I learn about so much from Alex Jones? Now, I could have learned it, of course, from Bill Cooper, but Bill Cooper was dead just after 9/11, and Alex Jones is there trying to take the damn credit. And if you ever wanted further proof of what a fraud he is, they've actually got people running around saying Alex Jones predicted 9/11. No bigger lie ever started. I don't know how to get the message out. We can't get the message out. We can't. Not online. We have to go face to face with people, and Bill Cooper, St. Bill Cooper, would absolutely approve. Yeah, it's just such nonsense. And that's actually a problem because I see it, I get such a, I want to be sick reaction to this garbage nonsense going on. I can't think properly. That's why I've got to see a psychologist and write my little feelings diary so I can get down to the root cause of my triggering childhood trauma. If the IP ceasefire doesn't take effect, the US could justifiably enter Israel and establish a buffer zone around Gaza. I think the National Union would support. Look, there's not going to be a ceasefire. The US elites want the Gazans out. They want the Muslims out of there. They don't want to deal with them. They said, Bibi, I know for a fact, they said, Bibi, it's your Islamic terror network, CUNT, clean it up, and then we'll decide if we don't behead you ourselves. Oh, Bibi's on the fucking nose. Don't worry about that. Clean up your Islamic terror network bullshit, and then we're heading on in there. So they're getting, Bibi's got to clean it up, pacify the population, then US elites. Is that a nice thing to do? No, but that's the way it is. And I told you, we're not going to solve it by wringing our hands. You go national security. No one cares about little brown people. I've told it 1,000 times. Nobody cares. Stop quoting the UN. No one cares. You've got to get in there under national security and money. That's how you do it. Oh no, Piers Morgan. Oh, this is terrible. I'm a good man and I like to hear both sides of the story. I'm a very good man. What's that Egyptian comedian? He pulled the piss out of Piers. Oh no, you're one of the good guys, Piers. You're one of the good guys. Just fucking brilliant. YouTube is pretty terrible. I thought it was getting better. I thought, well, if I had all these clowns on, surely I can make a mention of stuff. We'll see. The Palatinate was in Germany. Yeah, no, but what is it? Is a region in Germany with a Jewish population. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Brother Scott, is this? Yes, it is really live. It's noon in Tripoli. Really? Hi, Tripoli. Hope things are settling down for you all. Can't even imagine these horrors. The Phoenicians did it, of course. The Scottish rite of Freemasonry is number one if you want to be top of the Freeman. That is 100% true. It's all in London, baby, Scotland. There's a lot more to Scotland than people think. Absolutely there is. What was it that good old 1984, George Orwell, Eric Blair wrote in his memoir? I wish I could find the quote. He said, I soon came to realize that the British Empire was nothing more than a mechanism to hold down the colonies while Jews and Scotsmen filched their pockets. Something like that quote. It's a fucking hilarious quote. Anyway, once you understand this theme, all right, you can start to understand the traders and merchants. That doesn't mean you get rid of every alleged Jew off the planet in a puff of Auschwitz smoke, that suddenly the world becomes a wonderful place. That's not going to happen. The desire for power and control transcends this Jew stuff. It's in everyone who gets it. That's why the Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, even the humble little hobbits, he couldn't even stand the lust for power and had to get his finger bitten off to avoid catastrophe. And maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need a catastrophe to wake us up. I don't know. Great conversation, Brendon. Yes, Abraham from Tennessee. Yes, it'd be nice if I could just turn my stuff on. You'd see a different person, but I go insane. You know, they allow the shittiest, the most insightful scumbags. They build them up. They're making millions, and you just want to get on there and have an adult. Even if you're held down and not fine, fine, don't shame me. I don't care. I like being an outsider, but just let the adults have a conversation, please. Okay, just leave us the fuck alone. What kind of Sharia they're teaching in Scotland? Yeah, we get that, but you know, what can I tell you? I mean, I've been to where is it in outside Tehran? It's the famous. It's not Medina, is it? Or is that in Jalil? We must do near Jalil. A friend just went over there, did the whole Shia tour. I think he went to Iran as well. He was all there in Iraq. And he lived. Beautiful. Mosques are absolutely stunning. They really know how to light up a mosque. Um, it looks they need to whip the temple over there in Iran, the most holiest place. Oh, but no, what is it? Is it Medina? My brain. Anyway, you know what it is. It's the holiest. It's where all the scholars go to study, and it's an hour or two outside Tehran, south of Tehran. I went by on the bus a few times because it's on a main road to go to Hansa, down to Hansa, and it's just covered in lights. It's a bazaar. It's a bazaar market, and they've got shops and everything. And I thought, man, that needs a whipper cords through there. And you know, there it is. Um, Circumcision is hygienic and natural. No, it's not hygienic. It's called soap and water. Soap and water. There's a reason God put a foreskin on there. There's a reason for that. You don't cut off with no anesthetic and traumatize the baby. You need to stop. Muslims included. You need to stop. You don't need to physically mark yourself. It's all about the heart and your relationship to God. We know no more external accoutrements of crosses and icons. That's where we're heading. You will know God and you will be a friend of God. That's where the future lies. You will know God. What does that mean? Well, clearly you don't know God, because if you did, I wouldn't have to answer that question. You would know what that meant. Immigrate from your previous channels. They really hate everything. Well, it's. I don't know what it is. They want to grow. I think the only conclusion I've got is they see me in the future. They do a controlled release. Remember, they told me, Australian Foreign Office told me, these things are handled quietly. Maybe so, but you should have paid me off. I wanted 3.8 million, and I would have disappeared and gone and got my rancho and my permaculture garden in Mexico very happily. I would never have gone online, although I want to go on YouTube to watch my YouTube university videos. But the point is, they need good help. So they view it as, look, we're de-escalating this situation, and we need to release this stuff, because the people are morons, they're monkeys, they're fucking stampeding herd, and we need to get them trained up. And Brendon, your time will come. We're going to groom Mary, and you're going to work for us. I don't fucking work for you ever. You criminally negligent fucktards all came this close to losing the Republic, and I don't know if we're actually going to keep it with this race to autonomous killing machines. The US is all powerful. It doesn't need autonomous killing machines. The US is completely dominant right now. Everyone's a fake. China's a fake. It's all fake. It's all fake. So why do you need to develop autonomous killing machines? Well, we can't get people to the recruitment. Well, stop getting them to be trainees and walking around in high heels. Well, no, that would solve the problem. We get back all the non-commissioned officers you got rid of, and officers who didn't toe the line. No, you watch that moron Hegseth with his little red shoes on Fox News, Murdoch globalist Fox News. He's going to go to the Pentagon. Do you think he's going to say, we need the lethality, we're going to get all those manly men back into the army? No, he's not. He's going to say, we got autonomous killing machines, and say, wait a minute, Pete, I thought you were going to raise the standards, get more people in. No, we're going to raise the standards. We're going to put less people in because we've got autonomous killing machines now. And that's the bullshit they're going to pour us. And I'm telling you, if that continues, there you go, you know. You know, we're being scammed from top to bottom by a bunch of half-wits, ethnic foreign grifters, scammers from the back alleys of Krakow. And the goy, you deserve everything you get. If you can't see through this garbage, we're little dancing red shoes. I mean, the average fucking American can't even work out that Rupert Murdoch is a globalist who's best friends with the ultimate globalist, Heinz Kissinger. And Fox News is going to save us. He's for the working class. Scott Bessent, the Soros fund manager, is now the chief financial guy, about to be confirmed. He's a Soros fund manager. Yale boy, skull and bones for sure. And he's there for the working class. We got to help the working class people. And I'm just sitting there going, this is fucking hilarious. Is anyone else saying that everyone's clapping? Oh, yes. Oh, good, Trump, Trump. And you just sitting there going, I wouldn't mind if someone said Trump's a piece of garbage, filth, moron, can't keep his dick in his pants, allegedly likes growing women, but then his relationship with his daughter, he's weird. He's every bit as weird as Biden. And everyone just ignores it. But if they just said, yeah, no, but let's work with what we got, I say, look, yeah, I agree. That's the reality of politics. But this Messiah worship of this clown, it's disgusting. This criminal, vile, stinking clown. He's pus. They all are. Well, we got to wait, Brendon, until we get a new generation, someone once told me. Well, how long is that going to take? I don't know if we got that long. What, you don't have anyone? All you could manage was Biden, Kamala, and Donald Trump? That's all you had? Seriously? Far out. I'd rather take Marco Rubio. Bubble boy. Any thoughts on peak oil? Completely bullshit. I used to hang around a lot of oil and gas people, and it's the biggest lie ever. There's more oil and gas than you can poke a stick at. I've seen facts and figures. The Northwest Shelf of Australia has the largest proven gas reserves in the world. You never hear about it, and they are 10 times larger than what they say. 10 times. It's everywhere. It's just what's easy to get and what's not. They fill up. It's in the magma layers of the earth. It's not made by. They say, you want the ultimate lie? People talk about the Holocaust. The ultimate lie is that oil and gas comes from fossil fuels, from dead dinosaurs and rainforests. It's the biggest garbage ever put out there ever. Read Thomas Gold, The Abiotic Origins of Oil. Thomas Gold, Gold, The Abiotic Origins of Oil. Why do you think Titan is covered in liquid methane? That's a fossil fuel. What, the dead dinosaurs used to have spaceships and rainforests on Titan? God created it, and it's in there, and we should use it whilst moving slowly, incrementally steady towards whatever we can move towards in terms of energy, which will probably be nuclear fusion. And look, I hate to tell you, but nuclear reactors are actually pretty safe. They're pretty safe if used properly. People are lazy, they are clumsy, and perhaps sometimes they're sabotaged. It's pretty safe, and you're about to get 500 new nuclear reactors in thingy. So yeah, peak oil is the biggest, and it's an excuse to control simple energy production. Of course, they linked oil and whatnot to the US dollar. So that's why it has value. And we will be keeping it for some time to come. But I'm all for, look, I've seen the technology of an engine, a Wankel rotary, with a fuel injection system that got 70 miles to the gallon. And I know the chief engineer, his name was Robert. Just say Robert. I went to school with him. And he left at 16 for an apprenticeship with Ralph Sarich. You don't know anything about this. He's a West Australian, and it was all over the news. Nothing was hidden. Coming to your two-stroke, was a two-stroke motor. It was originally a Wankel rotary. And you used to get like huge world fuel economies. And all it did was something that had been done before. Germany, I think, did it originally. What they do is they create a gas out of it's not liquid, it comes in a gas form. And they make the fuel into a gas by cooling the air using the fuel. So warm air comes in, it's cooled to a lower temperature, so you get more pressure in your cylinder, more efficient burn. That creates a gas, and a special fuel injection system injects the gas, and you get a beautiful even burn in your engine. You'll get 70 miles to the gallon standing on your head. They then said Ford bought it up, and you know where Ford's head office is? It's not in Detroit, baby. It's in London. I know for a fact, because that's where the patents are, at head office. Robert said, no, they're putting all the patents at head office. It's all been watched. He sold it for 400 million. It was never coming. They ruined us, and they bought him out. This was on the national news. That bit wasn't, but that's what I heard from Robert. And he was his head engineer. They were driving one around of Ralph Sarich's motors. It's a two-stroke. It was coming in motorbikes, lawnmowers, outboard motors for boats, and cars. In a four-cylinder two-stroke that got over 70, I think it was 78 miles to the gallon. 78 miles to the gallon. I don't know what that is in liters. That's a lot. It's a pretty standard technology. They simplified it all to keep their current production methods. I was there talking to the head engineer for years because I worked in the nightclubs, and he would come into the nightclub and talk to me when I was going through university in the early to mid 1990s. And this was on the news. It was on the national news. Here it is. This is what it is. Ford Motor Company have teamed up with Ralph Sarich. Sarich wanted the local industry to build it in Balcatta, a suburb of Perth. They refused. He went to do deals with the union movement. The union movement refused to do deals because they didn't want all those thousands of jobs in Perth. God forbid, because they're all a banker's creation. total corruption. And eventually he gave up and they paid him $400 million and they took the patents and the whole thing just disappeared as if it never existed. Who remembers the orbital engine? You're from Western Australia, Australia? Do you remember the orbital engine in the 90s? I knew the chief engineer and he told me everything that was happening. He said, Ralph Sarich is the best guy ever, best guy to work for. He'd give you the car, do whatever, just a great, and now he speculates on real estate. He's still alive in Perth. I'd love to do an interview. There is the perfect example. So you could now get 3 times the fuel economy with standard issued technology. They won't do it. I'm not giving you a conspiracy here. I was there, I saw it. And there are other versions of this stuff. It's not the only one. But he had one of the best versions. Started with a Wankel rotary engine. And they just took it all away. Because you can't have that technology. What they do is when you accept the new system, then they give you the toys. It's like the orphanage, right? If you're good and don't tell on the people violating your ass and making you do sexual acts, you'll get an Xbox. If you're good, if you accept the new system, then the technology rolls out. What'd they say, Trump say? What did Alex Jones say? Trump was going to release all the technology. If you're good, yeah, I bet he is. Of course he is. Yeah, right. Flying saucers. Oh, I should really put that in. Do I have that in? Damn, I've really got to get my buttons. Well, you know my favorite, of course.
Look at these hands. These are workers' hands.
Oh, these are workers' hands. Anyway, yes, that's the bullshit of peak oil, and it's made in the magma layers of the earth, and there's huge amounts of it, and it's going to be around for hundreds of years. So look, it's always shortages, scarcity. You're going to die, scarcity. Oh my God, it just fills the airwaves every day. Oh, flu season in China, you're all going to die. And the sooner you can switch it off, the better for you and your family. If you're not involved in this game of regurgitating news, waving your hands around and giving your opinion, I suggest you just get offline. If you're not going to engage in politics, the best thing you can do is just get offline. Go and get a farm. If you've got money, invest in water wells, invest in earth-moving equipment. Don't invest in gold and silver. Don't waste your money. Invest in 8 to 10 years of food, because worst case, if things are fine, you got a huge food supply of your own. You can't lose. Build your bunker, get your solar panels, you're independent of energy, get a 40,000 litre fuel tank put underground, diesel and petrol, get yourself some earth-moving equipment and a tractor and a plow. That's real wealth. Gold and silver is a freaking waste of time. If you're at the point where you got to trade your silver dollars, I assure you the government has declared martial law and you're in a camp. There's no point where you are having to trade in silver dollars because the economy has collapsed and you're just sitting there alone on your farm. No, the people come and they take you away, or they take it all off you, or they take your solar panels or whatever. So once you're at that point now, gold and silver is worthless. What is worth? Ammunition. That will be the currency of the future. Ammunition, if you believe the zombie attacks and the end of the world. Ammunition will be your best investment, and firearms. Water wells, water purifiers, so if you're into zombie attack, the end of the universe, gold and silver is your biggest waste of time you could ever possibly have. It's all a bullshit. It's just a scam. It's an endless e-grifter scam online. I've caught Joe Walker since the Renaissance. Your information on interactive internet. Where'd that go? What the hell just happened? The whole thing just flicked up the screen. Yeah, Marco from the phone parties. Your information on interactive internet activities was phenomenal, as well as the backdoor access by 8200 through the CPU chips. Yes, and it was all perfectly available to everyone, but apparently not. A few of the industry things talked about it, but this is what you're talking about here. Here it is, Christopher Domas, God Mode Unlocked. Hardware backdoors and x86. I'm going to read the whole thing into a overview. There it is, 2018, July 27th. There you go. It's just a conspiracy, Brendon. It's just a conspiracy. God, it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It really is. Oh, look at this freak. God, the steroids is getting really big. There's a good video out, but it's still a limited hangout, but it's better than nothing. How to know you're in a psyop. That guy's got 500,000 subscribers, and he's got about 200 videos. I've never heard of him, but it's still not enough. We need to hear the word Hoofdjuden. We need the narrative. Listen, the only way we win is with the whole narrative. And what is the whole narrative? Hoofdjuden, banking and financial, Cecil Rhodes and the Roundtable Groups, Club of Rome, Bilderberger, Davos, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, foreigners think tanks, foundation system of funding, the Reece Commission with Norman Dodd. All right, subverting popular culture, taking over media, Hollywood, the whole thing. There's the narrative. And if we give people that narrative and the oncoming AI, data is the new oil, and automated killing machines. That is the narrative. You get the narrative, we can win. Don't get that narrative in a long, drawn-out, limited hangout where people go, wow, Brendon, this is, and it is, it's not bad info, but it's not Patrick Berge info. It's not Patrick Berge info. It's not his level. It's just, this is all geared towards the Russia stuff. Oh, the Russians are influencing us. That's where he's coming from. He's in his Zelensky green shirt. He was in American military intelligence. Look, I'm still kind of pleased it's there. I'm glad that they are trying. I gather they are trying to immunize the population, but we need to be immunized by the barbarians inside the gates. The other narrative is the barbarians are inside the damn gates. They're in Wall Street. They're lawyers in Wall Street, and they've trained at Unit 8200 and Telpiot program, and they're Wall Street lawyers. They're in everything. We'll talk to the cat diva soon, Diane, the cat diva from Tennessee. You know, she's got no hot water right now, her little cabin. People said, where's her website? Where's her social? She doesn't have any social media. It's not even online. It's fucking hilarious. So anyway, there we go. There we go. Sunday morning. Is it Sunday today? I don't even know what day it is. Oh, it's Saturday. God, I should go out and get drunk on margaritas. But the blender blew up. The blender blew up. I said, can we have some margaritas? The landlord, makes the most delicious margaritas with stevia, which I have sparingly as well. It's natural, but and it's the brown stuff because Mexico grows them all. They're really connected. They get all the Chiapas, organic coffee, and all sorts of stuff. I always seem to find the most connected people wherever I go. Seriously. But anyway, there's some great people in Mexico. I got some heavy criticisms of Mexico. I'm tired of your anti-American bullshit, Mexico. Just stop it. Without America, you're dead, all right? But I understand many bad things have happened. Please understand. Reform America, you free Mexico, you free Central America, you free South America. But I understand. And you feel like a second-class citizen. You've got a lot of your brown skin and you feel inferior and you feel like you're looked upon as slave class who's making burritos and trimming someone's hedges. You have to snap out of that mindset. But as Mexicans have said to me, Brendon, the church itself tells them it's good to be poor, be humble, whatever. And yeah, that is wrong. And then they wonder why communism rises up, when the church should be encouraging an entrepreneurial attitude, because instead of being a mechanism for oligarchs to stay rich and in control, whatever that is, you might remember the quotes from the Bible about a faithful servant. You've taken your silver dollar, and have you created investments and growth and expanded? You might remember that one. Because here, I'm genuinely surprised that Mexicans are just so docile and have no interest. I beg people, look, I will pay you to get your commercial drone license because I'm going to need it to start a business. That was my dream. I was going to start using drones and stuff. And I couldn't get anyone to help me because you have to be born in Mexico, born to get a commercial drone license. I couldn't get it. It would cost them nothing. I couldn't get anyone. And Mexicans said, it's normal, Britain. No one, just, have I got enough to eat? Yeah, good. I'm going to go lie down under a tree and relax. Now, part of me likes that attitude, that Mediterranean attitude. But it's not going to cut it, Mexico. Mexicans know that. There's going to be big changes in Mexico, but I don't know if it's going to be for the better. It's going to lose its community. All jokes aside, Obrador came out about drugs and said, what you need is more hugs, but he was only half joking, and he is a comedian, I must admit. He's very likable. They hate him here in Querétaro because it's very conservative here, and they do not like him at all. And they despise Scheinbaum, like, oh my God. But Obrador was freaking hilarious. Yeah, he said, you just need more hugs, but it's only half a joke. It's true. They still have community here. They really do. I mean, it's not everywhere. No, it's not like some paradise everywhere, but here, the church is everything. Churches are packed and everyone's walking around pretty damn happy. You know, my next door neighbor has nothing. They have almost a dirt floor. Yet I've never seen anyone so happy. Particularly when I gave her several huge bags of white rice, because I can't eat white rice. The glycemic index is too high. I eat brown rice now because I'm not racist. Oh, they love me. I gave her my couch because the couch was I was leaving at that stage, and I gave her a couch. She loves that couch. You know, they're happy because they're not alone. They got uncles, aunties, big families. Like my father was one of 15. Mother one of 4. But I mean, you know, here, big families, you need a job, you go through your community. You don't go to the government to get you a job. You go through your uncle who knows the guy, and there's this network, community network. They're born here, the 5th generation in the same place. They've lost all that. Yeah, you're not going to talk Patrick Berge. The chat should be able to super chat our questions. Oh, I wish. Send me money. Send me more money, please. Actually, no, I'm done with solar panels. I can't buy anymore. I got enough anyway. Yeah, fake scarcity. That's a big one. It's a big one. Yeah, water's the next one. Bones dissolve in the dirt in a few years. Marketing campaign. Yeah, it's like marketing and diamonds. Yeah, correct. Same people. Look, diamonds' real value is in drug money laundering. It's the original Bitcoin because you can shove. Imagine trying to move $40 million in cash. Very difficult to do internationally, but $40 million in diamonds you can shove up someone's ass or their vagina. That's why they use women a lot, and they can roam back go to Dubai and transfer that diamond. That's why Dubai is deep in bed with Israel and all the diamond trading Chabad Lubavitch Jews. My favorite guy, sup dude, Christina. There's several people on YouTube working on hybrid models of that motor. No doubt. It's not he just had one of the best. Rothschild had one of the best, and that was back in the 90s. But I think the Germans had something like in the 30s. I mean, they had the first fuel injection. The ME 109s would just dive away from the Spitfire because the Spitfires had a carburetor. And the negative Gs would splutter the engine and the 109 would just dive away. German technology was decades ahead of anyone. Incredible. Germans, incredible, incredible. Now imagine combining German incredible technical ability with Russian raw resources. There you go. That's been the battle for Eurasia. I remember that was on Sky News back in the 90s, seen in an island, then nothing after that. Yeah, they just disappeared it, just like that. Please keep it up. I might. I'm asking you now, YouTube. I'm not here to kill all the Jews, only when you keep deleting me and messing with my connection. I've had enough. But I'm going to ask for the first time. No, I want you to buy me a Mac Mini so I can put OBS and everything on it, and that will be my streaming machine where I can just plug everything in because I'm sorry, I'm too used to PC. And this thing edits fine. 4K down to 1080p, it's fine. It's a 4050 laptop. It's got an old 4050, one of the bottom end GPUs, but I must admit it handles even 4K video. And particularly when I output at 1080p at 10 megabytes a second, it's not a problem. Why do I want a 7950X 16 core with a 5080, 50? Why do I want it? This does everything I need to do. All right, I admit it'd be nice to have, but not for thousands and thousands of dollars, which I would probably smash it anyway. The coin clippers don't want to lose power. The parable of the talents. Yeah. When you're moving soon, Mexico won't be able to pass US border. I shan't be moving. Yeah, I've got a snail mail address, I think, but I'm not going to exactly give it out. But I might, I'm going to take all the money I can get. I want money. I'm 54. I need to try and buy some land or something. Have people help me. I can't just live for the moment now and just say, oh, I don't care. I'll just die on a fucking plane over Sydney or something. I don't want to think like that anymore. I want to have a future here. I quite like Mexico. I'm happy in 4 years to become a Mexican citizen, pay tax. I've got a Mexican bank account and I've got to get everything together. I want every penny I can get my hands on because I have to I nearly got run over for the first time in my life yesterday. I thought I would have probably broken my leg, wouldn't have killed me unless I'd hit my head on the concrete. Then you can certainly die. And I maybe think, I got to get some health insurance or something as well because I need to start thinking 10, 20 years ahead for my retirement. And I need to have something because there's no pension in Mexico. It's a very small pension. I don't know, Propaganda LTD. I'll look at it. There's for a coffee mug, yeah. But I want us to abuse and physically abused and in wars in Vietnam. You poofters are a bunch of sly, silk shirt wearing, Harley's optional private business contractors for the cops and the banking sector and Masons. And you've all got your lawyers in Melbourne, Chabad Lubavitch. I knew someone going with the Club Deros, who are a very small gang, blew Mark Chabrier's hair off with an SKK, based up in Kalgoorlie, the gold mining capital of Australia and probably the world. And the Club Deros, very small gang, all right? And he was going to join. And he went to Melbourne with them. And they were in this huge fucking mansion in Melbourne. And out walk all these rabbis, the QCs, Queen's Council rabbis, all related to the Richter. Remember, what's his name, Richter? The Mr. Fix-It of Melbourne? Oh, the most corrupt state is Melbourne, man. It's the worst. It's because it's Jew city there. That's the New York of Australia, Melbourne. So Kerry Packer and all that are based the old money there. All the Montefiore's, all the old Jews that came through there. And this guy's German. He's like, What the? I said, dude, and they've all got stars of David. Sorry, no, he wasn't Cogdera. He was in something else. But they've all got stars of David under their armpits and whatnot. This is where you don't realize organised crime, all the drug money laundering. It's all Jews or whatever a Jew is. Britain invented the jet engine. Yeah, it was Whittle. But when he went to government, they weren't interested, and the Germans were curious and quickly copied and implemented. Yes, it's very true. Everything we see in the modern West came from UK, Europe. Everything. That's where the modern West came from. Exactly. Indeed. Incredible. Brits, like, there's a 3-part documentary called Latitude. It's got famous Brits and drama. You can't beat them. I just watched Gary Oldman in a spy thriller series, Slow Horses. Wow, awesome. Man, it's like the only way to tell truth in the national security state is through fiction. It's called Apple TV, Slow Horses, Gary Oldman. Brilliant. Not quite as good as The Night Manager, but it's up there. It's up there. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Brilliant. Buffering, is it? Yeah, probably because people are waking up, getting online. All right, well, I'm going to leave this up, and if YouTube want to delete my channel or delete this video, it's fine. But just to let you know, YouTube, when I said tell you what I really think, it's to talk like this. I do not want to self-center and just all the time. I just want to talk. Just want to talk. See, this was effortless. Look, it's effortless. We're hand waving because I'm not thinking, oh my God, is this going to be, I can't think like that. So I'm going to leave this up. Leave it up, YouTube. Do you want intelligent academic discussion, or are you going to promote another Blazerian and Peace Morgan, all that bullshit? Are you? Are we allowed to have an adult conversation? I want to talk about my case. I mean, after all, I have the only case which exposes Jews as a racial and ethnic group as half shit. I did it legally. We won. Judge McCann said, very simple. McCann was actually very good. My lawyer turned around and said, I think we're going to win. John Bowger did a brilliant job. I did a lot of the background research. He put it into the document for the directions hearing. It's big news. Michael Hoffman, where are you? Oh, do I swear too much and offend your sensibilities? I mean, geez, we're all going to die, but apparently, oh, no, we can't be seen with him. No. Yeah, because you're all on the take, obviously. Someone's telling you because they run everybody. Not that I believe Hoffman's a fake. I just believe, he knows money's poor. He's got to get money. So, who supplies the money? He gets told. So here we are. I'll see if it'll stay up. Buy a monetized YouTube channel, then live stream for super chats. I'm not even bothering being fuck that monetized bullshit. I just can't be bothered. Proud of you. Go on, you Boris. Was Gaddafi, Golden Dinar an actual threat to the US dollar, or was it just a popularity stunt? Libyan opposition always downplays it as a stunt. No, I think it was real, but he wasn't doing it alone. He would have been working with Germany. He used to go backwards and forwards to Germany. Remember, he trained in England. They always train in England, or they're in Cambridge, they're in Oxford, they're Imperial War College, or they're over at Yale or Stanford or Harvard, aren't they? It's where they train them up and get them on drugs and sexually compromise them and all the rest, as Kay Griggs told us. No, he was real, and he did some very good things without question. It's on the record that he gave a lot of money to his people. I don't know if I want to live like that, though. It was an oligarchy, but he was a benevolent king, mostly. But he wasn't acting alone. He was working with the Germans, which is who? It's Rothschild. There's no sovereign German nation. There's no sovereign Russian nation. There is no sovereign French nation. It's all Rothschild, City of London. There is a war on. But looking at US elites and what they're doing with Donald Trump, it's like embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I was optimistic when he got back in. And then I saw his pics and I just thought, come on, this is trolling. This is bad trolling. This is not good. What is going on? Are we still playing these games? But I guess if we're talking about that moron Hexeth or that piece of stinking, filthy, slimy garbage, Tulsi Gabbard, or whoever else, we're not talking about Susie Wiles. We're not talking about Trump's long friendship with Ari Emanuel and Rahm Emanuel, two of the literally Israeli intelligence royalty. They are royalty. Because what we call the Hofjuden was what? The Hofjuden, the court Jews, were also the Frankfurt School, the intellectual Frankfurt School, which is the modern day Marxists with men in $1,000 suits. They're the bankers' Marxists. Then Hitler booted them. That's why they got upset at him, wanted to do him in. They went to New York, then they were in the University of Chicago, where Ari and Rahm Emanuel all hang out with the Chicago Jewish mob. It's all Jews, all right? They're not Jesuits, they're Jews. We can debate, because I love to confuse, as the great British real Jewish activist, Paul EISEN says, the aim is to keep you as confused as possible about what a Jew is. Is it a race? Is it this? Is it a religion? Is it a cultural entity? And but he says, boy, God, you sure know when you've been hit. It's like a stealth bomber. You can't define it, so you can't sort of see it. But he said, you sure know when you've been hit, like a stealth bomber. You can't see it, but you know when the bomb drops on your head. You see, that's the point. Jewish power. What is it? Race, religion, ethnicity? No, it's an organized crime outfit. It's a national security risk. Oh, they say nasty things about me. No, you are a national security risk. You're a catastrophe, and we should be at war right now about it. But, precious feelings must not be hurt. You could walk out right now, Mel Gibson with his millions, whoever, could sit down and say, we need a conference. Where's the problem? All right, you don't have to go to Israel. You can stay here. You will be protected. Your synagogues will be protected. Your communities will be protected. We now need an adult, intelligent discussion of the Ari and Rahm Emanuels of the world, of the Ann Neubergers of the world, of the Feinsteins of the world over there in, of the Wall Street bankers, and ask ourselves if we want to continue with this drug money laundering system, liquid cash system, or this dark money system. We need that conversation. We're not talking about it. We're talking about whether Tulsi looks good this week, or Megyn Kelly's hot, or some other bullshit. Whatever. Megyn Kelly's hot, but she's very skinny. She's clearly got a few psychological issues. I guess the antidepressants are kicking in, and she's happy now. She is a Scorpio. They do tend to suffer. But anyway, is anyone, Susie Wiles, anybody? Hello? Marga. Remember my best George W. Bush's friend, Susie Wiles? She's Trump's chief of staff. Hello? I mean, the hatred for each other is incredible, but, all for the cause. Like it's a poker game. They all hate each other, but don't flip the table over. We need to keep the game going. So here we are, and we're not talking about the right things. But, I see positive, like this video. I'm going to end it now. It's good, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We need the truth. If we don't keep pushing for the truth and demanding it, here we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough. The live stream worked by a miracle. Someone was either asleep, slept in this morning down the road, whoever's hacking me. We'll see what happens. I'm going to leave this up, but it will be for $1 in the future. If these live streams work next time, if they work, I will be putting them for $1 behind a paywall. If I think, I'm not going to bother with that one on YouTube, they're going to say I've upset the trainees, or I've upset some identifiable group by telling a joke or something. Community guidelines. I'm just going to put it on my Patreon behind a paywall. Illegally, there's some sort of thing legal. If you put something behind a paywall, it's got a different thing or whatever. There's a different policy. All right, but this one I will leave up on my Patreon. So for $1 a month, you can at least have basic access. Only 2 tiers, $1 a month for any writings or articles, and I do a lot. And then for all the videos, it's $10 a month. That's how I live. I have to live. Not only live, pay the rent, buy food. I need to have something for my future. I don't have Whitney Webb behind me. I don't have a Chilean organic egg with solar panels. I need to live. So forgive me if I want to make some money. All right? Please forgive me. All right, we'll talk again later. Elon next time? I don't know. The point is to just say, hey, I feel like doing a live stream. They're fun, and know that it'll work, and not be a nervous wreck wondering whether I'm going to be cut off or not. We'll talk again soon. How do I turn this off? Right here. All right, thanks. I actually enjoy these. They're fun. We'll see what happens. I'm leaving this one up on YouTube, and if they delete it or delete my channel or suspend my channel, well, I'm on Patreon. $1 a month.